Hey everyone, I'm Flo, Dude is behind the camera, and today what are we doing, Dude?
We're doing a collab with Costco. No, we're not.
Costco will not pay us for this. You know what, I have to say that Costco still has the best rotisserie chicken, and at $7.99 it's way cheaper than the rest, like at the other local supermarkets. Now that we're into fall and the weather is getting colder, I'm always looking for hearty meals to make. And today we're making rotisserie chicken pot pie. And it's just a shortcut that I'm gonna take using a rotisserie chicken because it's full of flavor, but also because it's simple. My recipes are always simple using ordinary ingredients that your whole family will enjoy. So let's get started. I'm making everything in the cast iron pan and I'm throwing the whole thing in the oven. None of this transfer it to a casserole dish business because I can't be bothered with that. So I am starting off with leeks. Well, it's just one leek. It's one giant leek. And I'm choosing to use leek instead of onions today because it looked really yummy to me in the store. And to wash leeks, you have to cut them in half. Only use the white part. And you have to wash in between the layers because that's where all the sand and grit hides. So I've done that already with mine. And then I'm going to slice this up and we're going to saute this first. I'm starting off with a 1/4 cup of butter. I know it looks like a lot, but I'm just going to let that melt while I finish chopping up my leeks.
Oh, I see you're using the Santoku knife again.
I am because I really like it. It's just super sharp, easy to cut through. Okay, the butter's already starting to brown so fast. I'm using 2 stalks of celery. That I'm just going to dice. Right, I'm adding the celery. I'm just adding it as I go. And I still have to dice up the carrots. The leeks are already starting to brown. I have 2 carrots that I'm also dicing. And we're adding the carrots. And we're going to cook this for about 3 minutes. Like 3 minutes more after you add the carrots because the carrots are going to take some time to soften. Meanwhile, I am making my chicken broth from Better Than Bouillon. It's 1 teaspoon per cup, but I'm making 2 cups of broth, but I'm adding an extra teaspoon of bouillon. So if you're using chicken stock, just add another teaspoon of bouillon to it. It just adds a little bit more chicken flavor. I'm also going to chop up my parsley right now just to set it aside. I am using about, I don't know, half a cup of parsley. I'm using Italian parsley or flat leaf parsley because I don't like the curly stuff. I'm adding about a teaspoon of thyme. Dry thyme, a teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper.
That smells really good.
It does smell good. Right. I'm adding 2 tablespoons of flour. And we're going to cook that for a minute after you add the flour. And now I'm going to add the chicken stock. So that we're creating a gravy instead of a soup. Okay, I'm just heating this through. In the meantime, I'm going to chop up my chicken to add. I'm not using the whole chicken here. I'm going to use maybe half of it. Just bringing this to a simmer, and I'm going to turn off the heat. I'm also adding a cup of peas.
I like all those colors in there.
Yeah, it looks pretty, huh? Cutting up some chicken. And I think what I'm gonna do is just use half the chicken. So I'm gonna use one leg. We'll start off with half, see how that goes. So everything is already cooked, so you don't really need to cook anything. Oh no, that's not true. The pie crust needs to be cooked. And again, I am using a shortcut. I just picked up a pie crust from the freezer section, and we're gonna add that on top.
So, Flo, why not buy the pot pie from Costco, the one that's already put together?
I like having control over what else to put in it. I'm already buying the rotisserie chicken, which I'm just assuming that there's spices and stuff on top to make it barbecue flavor. But the chicken pot pie, I think there's more that goes into it that I probably don't want to have in my pot pie. And with the rotisserie chicken, you can have a separate meal for it, right? Like the pot pie is more expensive for one because they had to make the pot pie for you. And this way you can, yeah, you still have half a chicken to use. Look at all the meat already from half of the chicken. So you know what I decided to do? I'm just gonna shred the chicken and then it just gives it more rustic kind of look to it as opposed to cubes of chicken. Oh, and before I forget, the cookbook is out, the printed one.
Yeah.
So you can get it on Amazon. The link is in the description. And yeah, love your support. I know everyone was really excited about the ebook, but a lot of people said they were waiting for the paperback. So you heard it here first, folks. Okay, we're gonna add the chicken. Look, this is like half a chicken.
That's a lot of meat.
It is a lot of meat, so I think that's enough. I knew I was gonna drop something.
5-second rule.
My counter is clean.
But is it?
It is. And the parsley as well. And we're just going to give this a stir. It's looking pretty yummy. I already thawed my pie crust, and I'm just going to lay this on top. Just like that. Got chicken pot pie.
That's an awesome shortcut, dude.
Now, if you wanted, you can also just brush it with egg white to make it shinier, prettier when it comes out, but y'all know I can't be bothered with that. So we're gonna put it in a 400-degree preheated oven, and I'm gonna put it in there for 10 minutes first to make sure that the pie crust is not browning too much, and we'll see if it's starting to bubble. That's when we'll know it's done. I think if I did an egg wash on top, maybe it would brown more, but I know that it is cooked through.
Oh, I see that color popping out.
Okay, here we go. It's time for
the taste. Look at this, guys. There's so much color going on here. You smelled good since the aromatics were sautéing. I shouldn't talk to the food like it's someone. I mean, this half a chicken, it fills up the whole thing. It's really meaty. If you had done the whole chicken, it would have been too much. Way too much. Okay, so it's cooled off. It shouldn't burn my tongue. Got a good mix. And one more taste here. It's really tasty, but it's on the salty side. Sorry.
That's okay. But if it's on the salty side, then it means I need to decrease the salt. So I think what happened was I added probably too much chicken bouillon. And I also added that 1 teaspoon of salt. But you know what? Using a rotisserie chicken, you don't know how much salt is in that chicken as well.
Yeah.
So I think I wrote the recipe not taking the salt content in the chicken in mind.
Just a reminder to everyone is that we don't go through like a test kitchen making sure that we bring you the absolute perfect recipe. I mean, Flo, for the most part, gets it like spot on almost every single time, but not all the variables can be taken into account all the time. So that's why we make it. Otherwise, we wouldn't come up with recipes even like half the time, because it takes that amount of time for Flo to develop the recipes and to actually cook them on camera for you guys. But I would say that aside from the saltiness of it, which is an easy correction for next time, is the chicken is super moist. Thank you, Costco Rotisserie chicken. And the veg is, the carrots are important, right? Carrots are nice texture, not overly soft and not overly hard. Overly hard carrots will just not be good for this. Nice blend of vegetables. Oh, don't forget the crust. That's store-bought crust, but still. We're gonna have to fight off the kids for the crust. But otherwise, altogether, love it. It's a great dish.
Thanks, dude. Sorry about that, guys. So either eliminate the salt or decrease the chicken bouillon by a teaspoon. And that should take away the saltiness and still keep the flavor. And I baked it for a total of 15 minutes. If I used an egg wash on top, it'll probably be a little bit more brown. But for tonight, what I'm gonna do is just mash up some potatoes and toss it in there somehow to take away some of that saltiness. Potatoes tend to absorb salt, so hopefully that will help a little bit. But in any case, it wasn't too bad. I did have a bite.
It was very tasty.
Yes, just a little bit on the salty side. All right, everyone. I hope you'll check out my new cookbook. Please click the link below and subscribe to my channel. Till next time, be simple, ordinary, and joyful.